bin.
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
That's no move.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?
Welcome to the Star Wars Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vedabonker.
I'm Kenton Larson.
And it is our final movie in our run here, Kenton. We've now watched the first 6 films of the franchise. We watched Return of the Jedi this week. And very, very excited to talk about it. My cat is joining us. You can see Dottie. How did she know we were starting the podcast?
She just came walking right in.
Like as soon as I've been sitting at this computer for a while. We've been talking for a little bit before, and then the minute I start the podcast, she pops up here, and now she wants something. What do you want?
That's a fluffy kitty now, hey?
Oh yeah, she's a little. Well, it's also a little bit of. She's a little big, I think. Time for a diet there, Dottie. All right, so we are talking about Return of the Jedi, and before we get into the specifics of this film, again, I watched it on a physical media form, Kenton.
Ooh.
So I watched this time around. I watched Return of the Jedi on the VHS. Is this version here you can see in my hand, which is the Yoda version, of course, because Yoda is the central character in Return of the Jedi, right? Like, let's talk about this for a second. Okay, so these are the covers of these, right? This is what they chose to do. They've got Darth Vader on the front of the first one, the Stormtrooper on the second one, and Yoda on the third one. I would have put Yoda on the second one. Hey, what do you think?
Probably, I mean, that would make more sense, except you could look at it like he was the breakout hero of the second one. So what you would do is you would use him in the next one to drive traffic, to remind people how much they enjoyed that guy in the second one. Then plus they couldn't use his face in marketing. I think they tried to keep it secret, but I remember I had this the John Williams soundtrack for Empire, and there was a picture of him.
Of Yoda.
And clear and plain as day.
Interesting.
So I'm not sure.
Well,
the marketing was not a unified approach.
So this is actually what this is, Kenton, and I have to correct you because last time we talked about this, you said this was a special edition, and it's not.
Is it
actually.
not?
No, this is the THX release. This is the THX remastered version. It's the original trilogy for the last time. That's how they marketed this. Do you remember that?
With better sound.
Yes. Better sound,
Yes.
and that's the only change that's been made to this. So this is the original version of Return of the Jedi. There is no musical scene in this. There is no.
Well, they sort of had one.
Nope. Well, yeah, but the regular one, the one with like
Right.
Cy Snoodles and the Max Rebo band, and like the good one that was like normal and it was fine. I don't see the need to add to that.
Well, and there's 2. We should also point out there's 2 Yub Yub songs by the Ewoks.
Oh yes,
Which
no
one does that have?
celebration. No, this is just a regular, normal celebration. Fade
Yep.
out. It was very,
So
very
Yub
quick.
Yub or no Yub Yub?
No Yub Yub. No.
Oh, so it is. So at this point, John Williams had rewritten that new.
No, sorry. What's Yub? What do you mean by Yub Yub?
There's a Yub Yub song where they're.
Is that the one where he goes
singing.
Yub Yub? Da,
Yes.
da, 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 da. That's in the
Yeah.
new version, right?
No, that's the old one.
Is it? Oh, then that's what it is. It's the old version. Whatever it is.
Okay.
I thought they made a more intricate song for the new version. Like there was
the new version has Zamfir on the pan flute.
That's
it
right,
sounds
yes,
like.
that's right.
That one.
Okay.
And actually they, that was 2 strikes on that one as far as I'm concerned. Like neither one of those really.
Well, it also has
yeah.
the original guy who played Anakin Skywalker in this as well. The I always forget his name. Yes,
Sebastian Shaw. Not
yes,
Stan.
thank you.
Shaw.
Especially Stan. Yes, he was a baby. So that being said, and it was also interesting because this version also has the George Lucas interviews. Do you remember those with Leonard Maltin?
Oh yes, those are good. Yeah,
so,
Those
so
are
what
good.
they did,
yeah.
It's good and it's interesting. I remember when I bought this. This came out in 1995. It would have been I've been in 16, 17. And so I would have been 19. What the hell am I wrong with? I can't do the math. But what I remember is that this is one of the first times I remember getting information about what was coming from Star Wars because they had already announced a special edition. So George is talking about, in this interview, specifically in Return of the Jedi, he's talking about what's coming next for the special edition. And to listen to him talk about it, it sounds awesome.
Of course
it really does. Yeah. But also to listen to him talk about, he delivered on what he promised. In that, if you watch that interview, I will try and find again. I'm going to try and find a way to convert this to YouTube somehow, but I'll post it up there and share it. Well, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, you can probably find it.
Yeah.
He talks about the way he talks about the prequels. That's what he gave us, but we just did not see it in the same way that he did. It's so crazy to me. Anyway, so
he pretends that he gave the people what they want.
Well, I think he had a vision of it in his head, and he delivered on that, and that's what he did. But we all thought it was something different. I thought we were all thinking of something different. Anyway, so how did you find Return of the Jedi this time around?
Oh, I loved you know, I love all the first three movies, and who doesn't? You know, I think it's great. I took notes like I did the other times. And what I said about this one, so my big takeaway is that there's, in broad strokes, this film hits it out of the park, but there's little details that drive me nuts from from time to time, like just little things which we can talk about as we move forward. But I think in terms of the big picture, it totally satisfies me. In terms of little details that get under my skin, there's a lot of those in this particular
Okay, well,
film.
we'll get into
How
that.
about you?
Yeah.
What's your key?
I just remember how much I love this movie, how much I know the dialogue. Like I know it. I know these words. I more than the other two. Definitely more than the other two. I've sat in front of this movie more times and repeated those words more often, because it was my favorite as a kid. Like I always watched those. I cannot for the life of me see the problem that anybody has with Ewoks.
It's great.
But I don't even remember there being a controversy at the time. I feel like people say there was, but I don't know that there was.
There was not. There wasn't. I don't think that, because people knew that when you went to a Star Wars movie at this point, you're going to get weird stuff.
Yeah.
And they were ready for it. And I think later on, people started saying, I noticed once the internet really took hold, that's when people started saying like, oh, they were only invented to sell teddy bears and blah, blah, all that stuff. That seemed to be the big major line of complaints, but that came long after the movie came out.
Interesting.
I at the time, people were like, yeah, it's another Star Wars movie and there's great stuff in it. Like that was basically it.
They're short furry guys. And the way George explains it in the interview, he's like, I just took a Wookiee, cut it in half, called it an Ewok. That's
right.
That's how George Lucas thinks.
Because it was going to be Wookiees. It was going to be Wookiees on Kashyyyk, which he finally gave us in, what was that?
Revenge of the
3.
Sith. Yes, episode 3. So, I think that was, I like the Ewoks. I don't have a problem with it. I think that, I love it. Speaking of weird stuff, again, that opening sequence, Jabba's palace, the whole opening part, again, this is what we're going to get hopefully in Book of Boba Fett. Do you see any characters that you hope to see in that new series?
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't look at it from that standpoint, but did you see any?
Well, I was hoping I hope we see the Max Rebo band. I hope I don't think they were on the barge, were they?
Oh boy, that's a good question. Were they on the, well, you know what, there's lots of, you could make the case that anybody was on it because it's big and we didn't necessarily see everybody on it. So I don't believe we saw it, but anything could have happened. Yeah. And part of me hopes, actually, the one thing that crossed my mind to answer your question was that I imagined Book of Boba Fett starting out with that scene from Return of the Jedi.
Yes, that's true.
Like that could be a totally cool way to start Book of Boba Fett, where you see him like knocked in or whatever. Like I think that could be great, and then you come back to it to show how he got out. But that's it. That from the standpoint of what's going to be in Book of Boba Fett, I kind of just, that's it. That's the only thing that I sort of imagine them maybe doing.
We saw what's his name at the end of his life? What was the name of the Rancor in the Bad Batch?
Stinky or whatever his name is. Yeah,
that's so
Stinky.
Funny. I don't remember. I'll look it up. But anyway, now we see him at the other end. Like he dies in this, right? This is him. He dies.
We assume that's the same one from Bad Batch.
Well, they've certainly they intimated that in the cartoon, right?
Yeah. By the way, you mentioned the setup of the film, and one of the things that I don't know why it stood out more to me this time than other times is how long it takes all the cast members to introduce themselves in that scene, where it's like they each get their separate entrance into Jabba's lair. And I just think it's fun. It's funny that it's almost like a Broadway show where everybody gets their special entrance. It's not, you can't roll them all out together. Yet, like, no, it's like seeing a concert where each band member comes out at the beginning and the lead singer comes out last because that's the most exciting.
Yes.
So it's kind of a little bit like that, but I like that beginning, but I forgot how long it takes everybody to get in there to make their individual appearance.
How long does it take? Did you look at it? Is it
I did not time it, but just sitting there watching it, you're like, oh yeah, like there's a song and dance around all of it.
Yeah, I
around
guess.
like Lando has to like
Well,
pull his
that's
mask.
a bit forced. That's a force for sure. You don't
But-
need to do that. And honestly, he didn't need to. I recognized him. I knew it was Lando.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to have him pull down the mask like that.
The Boosh
So
bounty hunter scenario.
I still love that scene though. That's such a great scene.
Luke standing on the trapdoor. There's just a lot. There's a lot that happens, and Boba Fett standing around.
Mhm. And then we have the whole skiff thing at the end to wrap it all up, right? So anyway, love that sequence. Think it's awesome.
Yes. Yes, it's like a James Bond movie where it's got a little intro
Yes.
to the rest of the film.
Sorry,
Love
this
it.
cat is. I think it's getting close to feeding time, is what she's wanting. Then of course Luke goes off to Dagobah to say goodbye to Yoda. Maybe that's why they put him on the cover, because he dies in this one.
Oh, maybe. I just think he's a popular character.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else occurred to you during that scene?
Sorry, which one did you just
Oh,
mention?
sorry. Luke just put spoiler alert for you. Didn't know that he dies. Anyway,
He's telling us to give our listeners a spoiler alert.
oh well, I think that everybody knows that Yoda dies in the Return of the Jedi. I think it's a well known. What else? Oh, well, let me look at my notes
So
here.
what did you just? Which scene were you just?
I was
asking
talking about the
I'm
scene
sorry,
where
lost-
he goes back to see Yoda for the last time to complete his training, and then Yoda tells him and confirms, of course, that Leia is his sister, or tells him that Leia is his sister, not confirms. This is the first time we've heard about Leia. We heard about another, but then now we find out who it is.
Yeah. I think that scene. I mean, it's a sad scene. I actually think that Yoda gets a good death scene though.
Mhm.
It's a good as far as that goes. But I wish they would have kept him alive. Like, why did we have to meet him in year 700 of his life or whatever it is? Like, why did that?
900, yeah.
900. Why did we have to? Couldn't we have met him? Couldn't he have been like 600 out of 700 years? And then we still have 100 years of movies that we can put him in.
Well, I don't think they were thinking about that at the time, right?
Well, that's where the baby came from.
Right. And
Yeah.
it just speaks to a different era of filmmaking where they like, hey, this is it. This is the final chapter. We're going to wrap this up. We're going to kill off characters, right? We killed, like, the Emperor dies, Darth Vader dies, all these people die. So, yeah, they were not thinking of the future of the franchise when they did that.
No, they were not.
I have this note here. Speeders are possibly the worst possible type of transportation in this environment. In this environment with all these trees, why would you choose a super fast speeder bike to rush around in and like go from place to place?
Well, and Siskel and Ebert pointed out that why can't you just fly over the top?
That's
of
right.
the
Yeah.
trees?
Why can't you just fly over the trees?
And that would make things a lot. But then again, you could make the argument they were built for another purpose.
Right.
They're built to drive around some other kind of planet. And so as a result, you're going to have to evade the trees on this one.
And there's
Because
no other thing you can do other than fly. They don't want to fly over the trees because that takes too long to get into a ship to lift off. Like, it's the difference between a motorcycle and a plane, I think, right?
Yeah.
If you think in terms of those vehicles.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. But man, those are it's a great scene. I love the speeder chase. It's so much fun, but you have to know they're all gonna smash into trees. I'm surprised. I mean, the only reason Luke didn't, I think, obviously, is because he's using the Force. So
Yeah, that's exactly right.
cool.
I made also a note about the musical number is really bad. The updated one. I made a note about that. It
didn't have
does
to
not
sit through
hold
it.
up. Yeah, that's right. I think the laziest writing is another Death Star. I think that's the one thing. That's the one, like, and even in that era, I know George Lucas was talking about, no, they should bomb Vader's castle or something like that. And I was like, that could have been really good if they would have done that, if they would have made it that, like, we're going to take it to their base, or his plan.
I mean, I do like the taking the shield down part of it. Like, I like that they have to do that and do that side little, it's a sneaky mission. It's not like a necessarily attack kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if they could have kept that aspect of it in whatever the new scenario would be, that would be great. But yeah, I know, another Death Star, and it's not, I mean, and it works. That was also a great surprise during, I mean, the first time we saw it, right? When it starts shooting things
Right.
in the middle of the battle. But yeah, it is lazy writing. You're right.
Like, it would have been nice. And then, of course, then we had the planet in Force Awakens that was basically a new Death
That
Star,
that's
and they
extremely lazy writing. That is worse than Return of the Jedi.
and then they show the hologram going like, no, but look how much bigger it is. Like, oh, we know what you're thinking.
Yes.
This is the same thing. No, it's not. So that's what makes it even worse, is like drawing attention to it like that. I also made a note. This is one of the things that always bugs me. In episode 4, C-3PO says, "I'm not much of a storyteller."
Oh, of course.
And in this episode, he's spinning a gripping yarn,
Complete
where
with sound
he's doing
effects.
sound effects of a dead-on impression of Darth Vader. He has it all down. And
high
so
pitched, I thought.
what happened? What happened to the guy who wasn't much of a storyteller?
Well,
and,
he was. I think I've always taken that as to being his own. He doubts his own ability to tell a story. He doesn't think he's a good storyteller, but he actually is. He found a talent throughout this course of these adventures. He found his talent of telling stories. That's how I think of that.
I guess
low self-confidence, Kenton.
Meanwhile, Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford look kind of phone in their performances.
Oh yeah,
I think,
they're worried. I mean,
Yeah.
Harrison Ford at this point is doing Indiana Jones. He's got lots of stuff going on, and he almost wanted to get killed, right? He was like, "I'm okay being killed out of this movie." So,
Absolutely, he wanted to be killed. The earlier, the better in the film.
Right. Yeah.
So you could sort of see like he's having just the right amount of fun where you don't have to exert yourself too much.
There's some good lines. He's got some
Yeah.
good
Oh
lines,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I like the way he's like interacting with 3PO on Endor there, and 3PO kind of gets a little bit of a big head. He's like, "I've decided we shall stay here," and he's like, because the Ewoks worship him. That's hilarious. That whole thing is so funny. I love when they're like tied up. That's just great.
Oh, solid gold.
And then finally we get to the scene where Luke and Vader actually share the screen, and this is the first time. Well, I know they've been together, but the first time they actually had a conversation in which they're not fighting each other with lightsabers, and that's such an impactful scene for me. That's just like this is what it all boils down to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so good, that stuff. And I remember in the preview, they showed Luke dressed in black standing next to Vader in the elevator, and it was just like, holy crap, like he goes to the dark side. Like that was like, everybody thought like that's where this is going. Oh my God. And so to actually see him being close to Darth Vader and Darth Vader not just instantly killing him and some of that stuff, I remember just thinking, wow, like I didn't think you could even get near to Darth Vader without dying within seconds. Like he would just kill you, think nothing of it.
See, that's the old school way of misleading the audience through putting a trailer together, however you saw that. You saw it still, right? Whatever you saw, that's releasing an image of a film and making someone think something else. Whereas now what they do is they just shoot a whole new thing and put it in there just to deliberately mislead you. Or they'll Photoshop. I saw this is so bad in the trailer for 8-Bit Christmas, which I think I talked about in an early episode. They actually Photoshop out a thing behind this guy to make it look like there was a big rush on video games. When it's actually Cabbage Patch Kids. There's a great joke throughout the movie about this Cabbage Patch, because it's the 80s, right? So there's this Russian Cabbage Patch. And so that scene in the trailer, which this like, it was a madhouse, blah, blah, blah. He's talking about how awful it was that they had this rush. It's not about video games. And I don't like when they do that. I don't like when they deliberately mislead you, but I like that they like can show something and make people think something that's not happening and completely different situation. And yes, and that's just because they made Luke wear black, right? That's it. That's the only choice they had to make for that.
Right. Exactly. And it works. And it is. It's a scary scene because you just don't. You can't imagine what it would be like to share an elevator with the guy who's like the scariest guy in the universe. So that's so good. And I guess we should also say that like maybe the face they should have put on the box is the Emperor, who's he's the great new character that they introduce. I mean, there's others, but he's like,
this is his movie, man. This is like, we briefly see him in Empire, right? We see like his hologram, but he just commands the screen when he's on. He'll love it. I love his performance so much in this.
And although, and in the original Empire, it was not him playing the Emperor as a hologram.
And that would be on this version of Empire Strikes Back that I have here, right? It's a different guy with makeup or whatever, right?
Right. They made him look. They just made him look like it's like a placeholder almost.
Yeah.
So when you see the actual Emperor, that's great. And he gets the best lines, and he's like just the right amount of creepy. he doesn't, it's kind of interesting. He's not like Darth Vader. It's like the classic bait and switch where you think you know who Mr. Big is, and then you find out, no, there's another Mr. Big. And he's even worse than Darth Vader. He's like even meaner than Darth Vader. But they made him he just enjoys being evil so much that it's fun. He's just a great character to watch.
It's also cool because we've heard him talked about for 2 movies, right? Like they were always talking about the Emperor and we better do this or the Emperor is going to be mad or whatever. And then so finally to see him is just awesome. Like just to, it's been built up now to be this horrible person. And his entrance is great too, right? Like his just entrance into that hangar when he's like getting off the shuttle and that kind of stuff. It's just a great scene.
Oh yeah. Fantastic.
Pound for pound, I think this is a better final act than Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, of course. I mean, by definition, it has to be, because this is the one, like, that's what pissed me off about J.J. Abrams saying, I am bringing the whole saga to an end with my movie, with Rise of Skywalker. And then you go see it and it's just kind of like, it's kind of underwhelming. Whereas what Return of the Jedi does is it really does satisfyingly conclude the trilogy. It gives you the ending, gives you an ending to the film, and you feel satisfied that you have seen the ending. It doesn't leave much hanging. It's sort of like whoa, God, the good guys made it, thank goodness. Whereas with J.J. Abrams, it was just more of a mess. Like it was harder to track the Rise of Skywalker and who's where and who's doing what and why does it matter, et cetera, et cetera. So the one thing that I think hurts Return of the Jedi is J.J. Abrams bringing the Emperor back in his. I think that they probably shouldn't have done that, and especially not the way they did do it. There's another way to do that they should have been leading into, probably from The Force Awakens. All the way from The Force Awakens, they probably should have been planning for that then.
Agreed. In the very end there, where Luke says, "No, I will not kill him. I will not kill my father," throws away his lightsaber.
Yeah.
What does that remind you of? Throws away his lightsaber, and it's not. So when he does it in The Last Jedi, it's not the first time he's thrown away his lightsaber.
Oh,
right. Like that was the one thing that pissed so many people off, is him like tossing this lightsaber over, is like he doesn't care. He did it in the other movie. Why would you think he cares, right? Like anyway, whatever. I just found that I was an interesting parallel that I didn't really recognize before, right? He does throw away the lightsaber a couple times.
Right. When he throws it in Last Jedi, it's for comedy.
Well, I think it was for shock value, really. I mean, people were expecting it to be, oh, thank you so much for my lightsaber, but he's like, here. So I think that was meant to be. It was funny too, but anyway, it was for here. It's like, it's for emphasis. Like, no, throw it down. I'm not going to kill my father. I'm a Jedi like my father before.
He only throws a lightsaber to make an important point or for comedy. Exactly. Those are the two reasons.
And the Emperor was laughing inside. We know he was laughing inside.
Oh, of course he was.
Any other final thoughts on Return of the Jedi before we wrap up this?
The one other thing I noticed was the foreshadowing that the Millennium Falcon was going to be destroyed. There's there's that line where Han Solo says, "I got a weird feeling that I'm never going to see her again." He says, looking at the Millennium Falcon, and it makes me wonder if at some point there was a plan to kill Lando in the Millennium Falcon, to have Lando make up for the double cross.
And sacrifice himself to blow up the Death Star. Yeah, I think I read that somewhere. I did read that they were like originally going to kill Lando, or no, they weren't even going to. I don't remember what they're going to. They weren't going to bring him back for the third movie. They weren't. They were just going to have him be an Empire, and that's it. But then I guess because he was so popular, they brought him back. And yeah, you're right. There probably were. It's interesting that they didn't take that line out then, because it really doesn't make sense. He does see her again, but I guess we don't see him seeing her again, so it doesn't matter.
It sets up the idea that it could be destroyed, and it makes the audience worried that it will be.
And it makes that more tense when they're actually flying through the Death Star. Right. Yes, that's right. So it's a deliberate line to make the audience, kind of misdirect the audience a little bit, to make them feel more tension. Excellent. That's interesting.
Yeah, I thought, and it stood out to me. It stood out to me because it does really seem to be a foreshadow. And then I only had one more note, and it's about the end of the movie, and it's an encouraging thing. As long as you repent on your deathbed, you can hang out with Yoda, with Obi-Wan, have conversations with them. You're happy. And it doesn't matter how many young Jedi kids that you killed at the temple. They're happy to invite you back into the fold of
Or
Jedi Knight
I mean,
Code.
think about however many other people Darth Vader killed over the years, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
he's like just hundreds and hundreds of people, I'm sure.
You can repent on your deathbed. That's all you need to know.
Did he repent though?
He did.
Like, well, he said, he did, turn and back to the light side. Here's my issue with it. They're trying to establish, and I think we're going to see this in the Obi-Wan series, that this idea of the Force Ghost is something that takes effort, that Qui-Gon figured it out. It didn't exist before Qui-Gon. That he figured out how to do this Force Ghost thing. He taught Obi-Wan, so we're probably going to see parts of that in the series. And then Yoda, I guess, learned as well. Yoda zoomed in for remote learning. And so Yoda learns how to do it, but how does Darth Vader learn how to do it is my question. He is immediately, as soon as he's dead, he's there with them. So,
well, Darth Vader doesn't learn how to do it.
That's
Anakin Skywalker does.
Oh, well, how does Anakin Skywalker learn how to do it so quickly? Does it like, oh, that's it, boom, and we're done? Like, it was easy.
Well, there's like a waiting room, and Ted Danson is sitting there.
And turns out it's not the place.
That's right. He invites him to the good place. He welcomes him to the good place.
So yeah, but it's funny how it doesn't matter. Obviously, it doesn't matter, but it's like these things they do, and in the end, the decision is let's have them all. Because I think initially when we saw that movie, we just like, oh, they're ghosts. Like we don't they're they're ghosts because it's the Force. Like we don't know anything about how to do that. So that was why they let's show them all happy together. But you're right, that is the message they're sending, right? They're saying that Darth Vader did redeem, did just basically confess his sins and gets to go to heaven now. That's the message that's sending.
That's right.
Interesting.
That's right. That's the idea. He repented. He felt sorry. He said he was sorry.
So it's interesting because I'm just watching A Christmas Carol. I'm doing a thing on TikTok where I'm watching 5 different versions of A Christmas Carol this week. So I'm watching all these different versions, and one thing that's becoming clear is that that movie is about redemption. That story is about redemption, rather, like the Dickens story. And Scrooge redeems himself, but to me, like, he redeems himself and then lives the rest of his life being a good person, helping other people out, spending his money to help people. Like, this is just like redemption at death. You know what I mean? Darth Vader doesn't help anybody else after that. He just dies and that's it.
That's right.
Anyway,
that's right. That's all you need. And I don't know if you have to be a Jedi in order for that to happen. That's the other.
Maybe anybody can do it.
They haven't explored that in great detail.
No.
But
okay, so for final rating, I have to give it a 5. It's my favorite. 5 out of 5 for Return of the Jedi.
I give this one a 5 as well. And when I say little details bug me, that's what Star Wars fans do.
What's some of the other ones that bug you?
The little details.
Did you talk about them all?
Well, there's just a few more, like as I've said, Leia and Han are kind of sleepwalking through the roles. Like, the side effects of carbonite are you start to feel a little less like acting. You put on about 10 pounds.
Okay, yeah. I see that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just a little less. So there's that element. There's the some of the stuff, like the reveal, the way Luke tells Leia about what he knows it's a bit of an awkward scene. It doesn't quite come together. It's fine, but I do remember in the theater everybody moaning and going like, "Oh, come on!" They didn't buy it on opening night. They didn't buy it.
When she says, "Somehow I've always known," really, is that you always knew it when you landed a big smacker on him in the other 2 movies, both of the other 2 movies?
The little dance, the little rebels, the frankly pathetic sized celebration on Endor.
That's why they ramped it up, but they went too far, right? That's the problem. They just went way too far with it. So you should just add a few more digital Ewoks in there and you're good. But it was pretty lame.
Yeah, like there's some of those. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
it's just like little things sprinkled throughout where you're like, well, that doesn't make sense, or why didn't they blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But overall, the big picture, the ending of that movie is so good.
Before we wrap up today, I just want to talk about Star Wars puts out every year their holiday gift guide. And this is from November. I apologize. I'm a little bit late to this. I thought it came out closer to Christmas, but I guess they do it about a month beforehand, right? So you can go buy this stuff. But I always think it's fun to kind of look through these things and see what we can find for maybe ourselves or for that other Star Wars person in our life. So we've got a cool little, looks like a Boba Fett jacket here.
Yes, it's very nice. I went to look for it, actually. I thought I might want to buy that jacket, but you can't. It's very hard to find.
I bet. And it looks like, I mean, certainly this would
Yeah.
be practical here where it is cold, but it looks like right on the inside there. I can't, if I do this, it's going to mess up the screen share. But you can see like there's a little Boba Fett. Is that Boba Fett and the Mandalorian in there? Like,
No, I just think it's showing Boba Fett from the side.
oh, I see. You're right.
profile and
Yes,
front.
it is.
Yeah,
It shows the thing down. Anyway, so that's cool. That's really good. Boba Fett interchangeable jacket by Columbia. That's a good brand too.
I went to Sport Check last week on the off chance that they had they have a Columbia jacket section.
Okay.
So I was like, they might have it. What the hell? It's one of those things. Like I'll just walk in and just take. But they did not. There's nothing that even approaching Star Wars there, unfortunately.
Says that the waterproof breathable shell keeps you dry, while back vents that mimic the exhaust ports on Boba's jetpack allows excess heat to escape.
I don't know.
Let's see. We'll see about that. This is a Star Wars year by year by DK Publishing. Oh, interesting. A visual history.
Yeah.
So this is the same publisher that does all the books that Pablo, I don't have mine in front of me, but all the books that Pablo writes, like the visual history. There it is. I have the solo book. You have it too, right? You have you have all of them?
All of it. I got many of them. I don't think I have all of them.
So this is like, let's see what this says. Take a visual journey through more than 5 decades of newsmaking headlines with the latest edition of the fan favorite book that traces cultural cornerstones from director George Lucas's early life through to the latest additions to the Star Wars canon. Okay. So I don't know what that means. I guess it's just like another, I guess it's just like an entire visual dictionary for Star Wars. I don't think I want that.
You need to flip through it though. I need to see what's in there.
We have Star Wars: The High Republic, which is a book. It's the first of these books. Remember, what was it called again? Is it called The High Republic?
The whole series isn't it?
Right, the thing that we saw the video when the Pablo was in the video, right? Remember that?
Yeah. I think
this is the first book in that. This is the first. So this is going to be Enter the Golden Age of the Jedi Order with the New York Times bestselling adult novel that launched the new multimedia initiative and the era known as the High Republic. Have you read this?
No,
I haven't either.
It looks. I'm just not interested in whatever this is.
Yeah, it's just not. Yeah, it's not within like our Star Wars. It's probably good. I'm not gonna say it's
well, no,
good,
but give me a movie first.
Look at this. Oh my God, this is hilarious. What is this? Kowakian Monkey Lizard by Disney Parks. Get your own cord jester for fit for hut, choosing from 2 different color patterns.
Oh, that's
doesn't
great.
show what it does, but it's like it's Salacious Crumb.
Yeah,
and it looks like it's got a little remote on it or something, so you can control them.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome. That looks so cool. It's probably super expensive.
That is awesome.
Disney Parks has got to be a couple $100 for sure. Yeah. We've got some scribblers here, Baby Yoda scribblers. That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay. You always use one of those. Ooh, a little workout uniform for you there, Kenton.
What is this?
This is a holiday apparel
adult
by Gold
only?
Sheep. No, this is just it's a female workout outfit, but it's got stormtroopers all over it. I don't know that I would see any woman at the gym wearing that, but you never know. Hey, if you're fans of Star Wars, here we go. We have Star Wars themed pajamas for the whole family. This is what my kids want, right, Luke?
The dog is wearing pajamas in that picture.
Luke does not want his Star Wars pajamas. Oh, it's the Mandalorian, right? Sorry, it's the Mandalorian specifically sleepwear. So there you go. That's interesting.
Family matching sleepwear.
We have yet another Baby Yoda version. Which one is this? Galactic snacking Grogu. What happens if you give Grogu a cookie, place a variety of treats in his mouth, and he'll let you know what he thinks?
Wait, so basically waste food on a doll.
I think it looks like it comes. It looks like it comes with its own little cookie there. Remember the little macarons he's eating in the classroom?
Yeah,
I think that's what he comes with. Why don't they just give us fish eggs? It was funnier when he was eating the fish eggs.
Oh, he probably has those too.
Or the frog, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. They should actually give you one of each. Is what they should do. That would be a lot of fun. What is this one? Oh, Ahsoka, I can't say. Ahsoka Tano embroidered open cardigan. Pay homage to Ahsoka Tano with a comfy cardigan that features a logo on the chest and embroidery down the sleeves and a dusty pink stitch. What? Oh, look, there's the logo. Okay, let's move on.
Smoking jacket.
Okay, here are Star Wars A New Hoop lightsaber drinkware by Joy Jolt. So these are glasses that say, it's got a lightsaber, a red lightsaber, and it says, "I find your lack of faith disturbing, Vader."
I find your lack of liquid disturbing.
That's what it should say. Like,
Yeah,
have
it
some
should
fun
be a
with
joke.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Should be a drink joke. That's too bad.
Probably.
That's unfortunate. I don't really, I quote Star Wars. I don't need to have the quotes on things. I'm not really into that.
Nah, me neither.
Oh, little baby Yoda
Oh.
glow in the dark beanie. There you go.
It's a toque.
Well, it's a beanie.
Pretty
it
nice.
says,
Yeah, it's
says
nice.
it's a beanie.
So
That's
must
pretty
be.
cool. Oh, look at this. Lego Star Wars Ultimate Collector Series AT-AT by the Lego Group. That's pretty cool. I would like that.
Love it.
Hey, you want to give me that for Christmas, Luke? All right. Nothing. Never mind. Just joking. Oh, here, Baby Yoda. Little Baby Yoda stuffy. There's a lot. Like I said last episode, there's a lot of Baby Yoda out there. It's like the one thing you're guaranteed to find for Star Wars merch if you want to get something for your Star Wars fan of a friend. But I wouldn't count on Baby Yoda being a hit with all Star Wars fans, right? What is this? Darth Vader silver coin by New Zealand Mint. Oh my God, I have to tell this story. Have you ever bought collectible coins, Star Wars collectible coins, Kenton?
I don't believe so.
Okay. I did. This is like in the late 90s. This is like right around the same time where I was watching this trilogy and special edition. And I saw it in a magazine or somewhere. It was like, order this. It was a very cool looking Star Wars collector coin. And it was an official currency from some obscure island nation. I don't know where it was. And I got them. I bought them. It was a collector thing. I'm like, oh, cool, Star Wars. And I thought it was like a thing that was worth money. Like, I didn't know anything about collecting. I didn't know how this stuff worked. Okay. Then one day I'm like looking, I had it out display. Then one day I forget about it, pack it away. I'm going through stuff. I find it in a box. I'm like, oh, I don't really care about this. Oh, maybe I'll try and sell it and see how much it's worth. I go down to the local coin shop there, which is, I think, out by your place. The guy literally laughs in my face at this. He's like, that's not worth anything. And laughs me out of the store. Like, I was, okay, buddy. Like, I was like, sorry, I'm not into coins, but it was not.
As a collectible. So you don't bring it to a coin store, you bring it to
a collectible store. I didn't know that at the time. I didn't understand it, right? This culture didn't exist back then, or maybe it did, but I was not aware of it, right?
Right, so, exactly.
I don't remember what happened to that coin. This looks like it's another one, but this one's cooler because it's Darth Vader.
Yeah, it's nice.
Oh, you want a little, this is a controller, Xbox controller.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Oh, this is a little Boba Fett slippers. There we go. Boba Fett slippers. Nice. And a Baby Yoda stocking. Hey, that you can't go wrong with that, right? Holiday stocking by Shop Disney. Oh my God. Star Wars home collection. This is for you, Kenton. Look at this.
What is this? I can't see what this is.
It's a bed. It's a whole suite with a subtle nod to the dark side. This new bedding collection brings style and sophistication to the bedroom with a perfect balance of cozy and chic.
Well, it just looks like nice bedding. It doesn't really specifically say Star Wars.
It's funny. It says with a subtle nod to the dark side.
Pretty subtle.
It's black. Okay. Yeah. And what's funny about that reminds me of my Darth Vader coffee mug that I have. I got that as a gift. It's a travel mug. It says Star Wars on it, and it has a red stripe, and that's how much it's themed to Darth Vader. It does not look anything like Darth Vader. It doesn't even have like the design from his chest plate or anything. It's just a red stripe on a black cup, and that's a Darth Vader mug. So, oh, here we go. This is a Grogu necklace by Star Wars Fine Jewelry. There's always some kind of jewelry every year. Well, you told the story about your Star Wars, your C-3PO thing that you had. But this is basically it looks like a Grogu shaped necklace with this little diamond encrusted on his little robe there.
Nice. Yeah,
it's cool.
Lovely.
Oh, this is cool. This is cool. I would like this. Star Wars art. Bunch of prints. Thomas Kincaid Studios. Update your art wall with premium canvas pieces capturing quiet moments in the cockpit of the Razor Crest and the thrill of clashing lightsabers. That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I would imagine that would be good. And that's it. That's all that we have. Very cool.
Those are nice. Those are good gifts.
Yeah, there you go. So
it's like
next year, I'll do it earlier next year. Go ahead.
It's like Oprah's favorite things.
There we go.
It's StarWars.com's favorite things.
What I'll do is I'll subscribe to that in future years so we can just do it when it comes out and then we can talk about it. All right.
I love it.
Okay, that's going to do it for this episode of the Star Wars Nerds. I'm Dan Vedabonker.
I'm Kenton Larson. Don't let the Force hit you in the ass.
TK421, do you copy?
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
I'm taking an awful risk, Vader.
I don't know. I can imagine quite a bit.
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters. TK421, do you copy?
We're all fine here. Now now, thank you. How are you?